Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a forecast unfolding across Europe. Looking at November 9th through the 18th, 2025. You've pulled together sources showing a really high-impact, multi-hazard situation stretching clear from the Atlantic over to Western Russia.
That's right. And what we want to do today is really unpack how this big weather pattern, this deep Atlantic low, is being measurably amplified by climate change. It's a potent example, especially with Europe warming about twice as fast as the global average. The WMO actually calls it the fastest warming continent.
Okay, so that's the backdrop. But for this specific event, this 10-day period, where's the immediate fuel coming from? What's making it so intense?
Well, the basic science, like from the IPCC reports, is clear human influence intensifies heavy rain. But for this event, the primary amplifier, it's the sea surface temperatures, the SSTs. They're anomalously warm.
Anomalously warm? You mean like significantly warmer than usual?
Oh, strikingly so. We're talking 1.5, maybe even 3 degrees Celsius above normal in key areas. Think the Med, west of Iberia, even the Baltic. All that stored ocean heat is basically acting like high-octane fuel.
Right. So that heat, that energy stored in the water.
Yeah.
How does that translate into, well, more dangerous storm? Does it make the air itself different?
Exactly. That heat drives a higher latent heat flux. Basically, the warm ocean pumps extra energy and moisture into the atmosphere above it. So the air masses moving in off the Atlantic are just, well, they're more juicy. They're carrying significantly more water vapor.
More juicy. Okay, so they're supercharged, essentially.
Pretty much. And that directly ramps up the flood risk because these storms are actively feeding on that extra warmth right as they hit land.
Okay, so this supercharged system then moves across Europe in, 3 distinct phases, starting in the west?
Correct. Phase 1, roughly the 9th to the 13th, hits the UK, Ireland, parts of Central Europe. We're looking at persistent heavy rain. Forecasts suggest, easily over 100 millimeters in places. That means widespread river flooding, transport chaos. Pretty disruptive right off the bat.
But then things get, almost counterintuitive further south. You mentioned hail paradox in the sources. For Italy and the Balkans,
Yeah.
how does warm water lead to hail?
Yeah, it seems odd, right? But that warm Mediterranean Sea, it doesn't just add moisture. It fuels incredibly strong updrafts within the thunderstorms. Massive vertical lift. So water droplets get carried way higher, stay suspended for longer, freezing and collecting more moisture. They just keep growing.
So the warmth powers the engine that makes the hail bigger.
Precisely. It creates what we call a warm-type thunderstorm, and these things can produce exceptionally large hail. The reports mention sizes over 5 centimeters. I think tennis balls.
Tennis balls, wow.
Yeah.
That's not just damaging crops, it's a major threat to buildings, cars, infrastructure.
Definitely a major insured loss potential there. And that moisture, that energy, it doesn't just dissipate, it keeps moving east.
Which brings us to phase 3. That plume of moisture heads towards Eastern Europe and Western Russia.
Exactly. Between about November 14th and 18th, this plume, still loaded with moisture from those warm seas, tracks eastward. And then, critically, it interacts or phases with a blast of much colder air moving down from the Arctic and Siberia.
Okay, so you've got this warm, incredibly moist air mass generated further west, slamming right into this dense, freezing Arctic air waiting for it.
You got it. And when they meet, all that climate-enhanced moisture gets rapidly converted. It basically dumps its load into that cold air.
Waiting to
snow, and lots of it. It triggers a really high risk for the first major widespread snowstorm of the season. We could be looking at blizzard conditions across parts of Eastern Europe and into Western Russia, very heavy snowfall totals.
So across just 10 days, intense flooding, destructive large hail, and then a major blizzard, all linked back to this same climate-amplified pattern fueled by warm seas.
It's a perfect, unfortunate case study of interconnected, continent-spanning risk.
And there's a timing element here too, right? Something about a conference.
Yeah, quite the coincidence.
Yeah.
The sources noted that this whole event is kicking off just days after the Copernicus Emergency Management Service Conference in Turin, which ran November 4th to 6th. So this multi-hazard situation becomes an immediate real-world stress test for the very early warning systems and the risk models they were discussing just days before.
That really brings it home. The strategies debated at the conference are immediately put to the test by exactly the kind of event they're designed for. It just highlights how fast this is all moving, how quickly the theory becomes reality. Something to definitely keep an eye on. Thanks for walking us through this deep dive.